conversations with people who make amazing things happen. Today I'm here with Sher Downing. Sher, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you today. So Sher, how do you take your coffee? And if you don't drink coffee, how do you start your day?
Oh no, I drink coffee. I drink
Good.
a lot of coffee. I have a Keurig and I have a Nespresso next to it. And
Nice.
No one in my house except me drinks coffee.
Awesome. That's the way to go.
So a shot or two in the morning, hot in the winter. Right now it's warm outside in Arizona, so I've switched to ice.
Nice. Awesome. Well, happy caffeinating out there. And thank you for having a virtual coffee with me today.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I am, as you said, Sher Downing, and I'm an EdTech strategist, which a year ago, no one knew what that was. And fast forward a year and everyone is living in my world of EdTech. So my company is called Downing EdTech Consulting, and our tagline is where people and technology connect. And that's really important to us. It's all about relationships. How do you talk to vendors? How do you talk to institutions? Where are the synergies that people can have in suddenly doing things online or doing a combination of things in a hybrid sort of way? So we offer 3 areas that we work with. We do traditional kind of coaching with people who are in the EdTech space in that industry. We help them, prepare for jobs, transition into certain specialized sectors, really help a lot of EdTech startup folks who are really interested and have an idea, but they're not really sure how to launch, where to go, find resources, all of those things. We do affiliate partnerships with a lot of vendors. So if somebody's looking for a particular type of product, we help make that relationship. We help them figure out what they need. We make sure that the vendors are really aligning and listening to what the client wants. And then the third area that we do is we actually do course development and design. So we do have clients that, particularly now, have taken a lot of material and content and moved it into the online environment quickly. Sometimes it's a refresh. Sometimes it's just an idea that, wow, could you take this, that's been in my head for a long time and make it look like something. So we do a lot of that as well. We hire instructional designers who are senior, advanced, and very well credentialed, so they can make lots of really cool things happen, far more than I can. So, between myself and the team, we try to really just help people out and figure out how we can connect them with the things they need.
That's awesome. So you must, course design. Wow. I mean, I know that that's been a sector that's been blowing up for quite some time now, but I'm sure I would expect with COVID, it's even more prevalent now. Is that the case?
It is, because a lot of places, even something as small as training, if you want to train your employees on something, if they need to understand, certifications, maybe you need to have EEO certification, or maybe you need to have washing your hands certification.
Right.
And all of the littlest things now can't be done gathering them in a meeting room and getting them to understand and learn something. So transitioning into online has been also making it interesting, really kind of appealing to them, allowing them to do what they need to do. Maybe pulling in live sectors in it as well. So maybe a Zoom call where everybody gets debriefed and understands and then takes a certain passage of it directly in a self-paced unit. Lots of different combinations right now. And so everyone always thinks immediately of K through 12 and higher ed that, wow, they need to get all of these courses done. But there's a lot of small businesses that need things done, even a quick training so that your employee can actually do their work from home.
Sure.
Maybe it's a process that you've always done in the office. So how do you get them to do that when they don't have access to anything? So it's been really interesting to see some of the requests we've had. Some are large, some are small. Sometimes it's even just a matter of walking them through the process. They may actually be able to do it themselves, but they just need someone to kind of bounce the idea off of and make sure that they're doing things in the right way.
So more like a coaching situation as opposed to actually done for you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So how has your work evolved since the pandemic has started? Do you feel like you're busier? Do you feel like you're kind of shifting in terms of where your energy is spent?
We are definitely busier. And I think the energy shift has been interesting because work is work, and you all have peak and valley times when things come in. The energy source that has really been hard is for people, because nobody brings you a problem without a lot of baggage right now. So you kind of have to sift through all the baggage and talk through, well, why are you doing this? And what's the alternative? And, many times it's a monetary issue. And so they're feeling out, really want you to do something for us, but we are, bare bones on money, and we're not even sure we're going to be able to reopen. This is kind of a last ditch effort. What can we do? So it's a matter of really taking care with each client or prospective client and talking them through it. And if we can't do something for them, giving them the resources to where they can find some things, or even to just say to them, is this really going to work for you? Is this really, you can spend all this money and you can certainly pay us to do something, but if you don't have a plan around that, in 6 months, it may not do anything for you. So we're excited that business has been busy. Unfortunately, it's due to something that none of us are enjoying, because everybody's stuck at home and now starting to get stuck at home for round two. But I think, it's just remembering that it's all about people being involved. And for some people, particularly for small business, or for small departments in an institution, maybe even a small corporation, it's to them, this can be the difference between jobs. This can be the difference between a paycheck. This can be the difference between going forward. And so we really work hard to keep that in mind always and really handle them carefully. But that's a lot of energy that goes towards that. So we definitely, we talk about it a lot. How do we kind of regroup and
Right.
Move forward from it?
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And you're starting a new venture, which I'm very excited about, which you've talked about. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we are launching in the next couple of weeks the Speakers Resource Group, or the SRG. We have found over the years in the digital world that there's a lot of material that gets moved into the digital aspect and gets pushed out, but it's always very one-sided. And one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of speakers bureaus are out there, but they are a little bit one-sided, and they're very pinpointed towards getting you onto a stage, connecting you to that right job, and then moving on. What I didn't see was a resource area. I didn't see a place where I could go and get all the different kinds of things I need to do. When you think about speaking, your first thought is, well, what's my topic and how am I going to, deliver that? Maybe I'm not a good speaker and I need to learn how to handle my anxiety getting on stage. Mm-hmm. I haven't even thought about my hair or my makeup or what should I wear. All of those things that we all know, when we watch a really good speech and the setting and the lighting and the outfit and everything is just right, it's very impactful. When it's not, your brain, it's just humanistic. You internally criticize because you look and you're like, wow, she's so pale and she wore white. That's not even a conscious thought, but it just pops into your head. It's a product of our society.
Right.
And so by putting a space together, bringing in really key people that have, great talent, great experience in this arena that can offer the full gamut. We want to offer courses, webinars, workshops. We want to give people really every tool that they need through a subscription service, including a community. So I'm really excited about the community. We have a community manager. She's ready to start bringing people together and talking them through things, collecting what their concerns are so that we can react and be nimble in terms of, hey, a lot of people are talking about they're really worried about X. We should do a live webinar or a training on that, and who would be the right person or persons to do it. So we're looking at more than just people getting together and talking. We're looking at really finding out what their interest is, what their fears are. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, my fear is never with me until the spotlight turns on me.
Yeah.
And for a brief instant, she said, my entire head goes blank, and when I look out, all I see are dots. And she said, I was talking to, she was at a conference. She said, I went up to the keynote afterwards. He was so great. She said, and I told him, I shared this with him. She said, and he looked at me and he said, you never look up when you come out. He said, you pick a point that's on, he said, think of like a ballet dancer. They're taught to pick a point on the floor so that they can twirl and stay in the same spot, because every time they turn around, they look back at that spot. He said, look at the floor, look at the pit, look at the first row. He said, so when that light comes up, you come up. And she said, gold. She said, my next talk, total difference. That's the kind of thing I want to capture. That's the kind of thing that I want to help people with, so that they feel confident, that they're excited to go out there. And that, you know, it's not just about the speech, but it's when I walk out there, I look good. I'm wearing the right shoes. I'm not worried about tripping. I'm not worried about, you know, I don't want to wear my glasses and now I can't see the prompter. I want to be able to use a prompter, but not read from it. We've all seen those people that read from it versus those that use it just to remind them of key points. So we're very excited. We'll be launching the subscription service around July 15th. We're right now gathering people and content. We will have a free section, so people are welcome to look at it, and we'll have a discount in joining at the beginning so that people can test it out and make sure it's what they want to do. But we're really looking forward to getting that out in the hands of the public.
Amazing. I love that. You know, it's in the business world, we tend to think of speaking as this very business oriented activity, but what we don't realize is you're actually becoming a performer. You know, and like I love that piece of advice. I think we lost Sher. Hold on a minute, everybody, if you're watching. All right, there she is.
Yep. I don't know where I went.
It's all good. That's why we edit.
Yep.
That's why we edit. It's all good. But yeah, you know, and I love that you're going to be including the performative things, and, you know, how do I look when I get on stage, and how do I, you know, combat my stage fright? Because that's the number one thing that I hear is like, yeah, I'd love to give a TED talk, but I don't think I could get on stage. You know, I'm just too scared, or, you know, I have stage fright, or, you know, I'm just not a good speaker, or whatever the case is. So that's awesome. How can people find out about that?
They can go to our website, which is www.downingedtech.com. We will have a page launching hopefully later today, actually. It's July 1st. Not sure how that happens. And so they can even just get on our list, and we'll keep them updated with information. And, you know, we're also going to include a space on there of what would you like to learn? You know, in a perfect world, what would you like to learn? So we make sure that we can get those questions answered in the beginning, even if we don't have a specific segment for it yet. We want to get people that can reach out to them and get that information to them. We also want to collect it and have that as part of the resource, because we all think we're the only person with a question. And then when you see a list of like fast facts, you go, oh, there's my question right there. So we want to collect those and make sure that people can have that information.
That's fantastic. So it starts around July 15th. So, you know, reach out to Sher if you're interested in that. That's awesome. What else are you up to these days? What are you excited about?
Oh, so we just launched a podcast called EdTech Speaks. And so I'm really excited to be sharing information out with interviewing vendors and people that work in the EdTech space, because I think it's really important right now that people understand the world we're now living in and are likely going to continue living in. So our first guest is Stacy Turmel, who is talking about ADA compliance on your website, because a lot of people popped up a website really, really fast and really didn't think about there's a whole consumer base out there of people that have some visual disability or possibly, hearing disability, and your website needs to be compliant. But also, you could be missing out on some great business. They're used to shopping online, and they're very very contributive to the source. So that's really exciting to have people hear about that. We're looking to talk to some of our vendors to showcase what are some of the new tools and technologies that are coming out. We're looking at talking to people who are looking at the trends right now. How is this going to change? How are we going to learn over the next year? Because clearly we're going to be doing things differently. So we're working on that. We're working on also setting up a course area that shows samples. So one of the things that I have found over the years is when you are an instructional designer or a graphic designer, you have to carry your own portfolio. And it's very hard to do because most of your work is proprietary work. And so no one will allow you to showcase that. That's, it's kind of like saying, well, I started in Hamilton and now I'm just going to, borrow their scripts and their crew and come in and do this show for you and you'll know. It doesn't work that way. So we want to set up some samples in a space that those folks can grab something and pull it down in their portfolio and say, I have built something like this. They still have to cover the interview. They have to be able to talk about how that gets built and all of those kinds of things. But we want to start to collect and put together a sample space for them, purely just to give back to the instructional design community so that they do have some resources and they can talk with people about things that they've done. So that's that's our fall project, but people are starting to collect information there. And beyond that, we're just, we're now starting to plot out for 2021 because we got a little off track with everybody needing help for the last 4 months. And now we're back to planning on, what's our pivot? I always ask, what's our pivot for the next year? Because everything keeps changing. We're seeing a lot with blockchain. We're seeing a lot with artificial intelligence. And so I think those things are going to impact us even more. So I think we're going to need to do some things to be prepared for that, whether that's teaching or development or bringing on someone that can, do some live webinars about those kinds of products and such. So just lots of good things. And we're always looking for suggestions. We're always looking for people that are interested in knowing what else can we do? What can we feed into? I think about, your work in the theater and professional areas. There's a lot of that we're doing now online, and we're doing a lot of live, videos and such. But what are we doing about capturing those? What are we doing about maybe offering those in a different way? So when you think of when a theater troupe goes into a, K through 12 school and does a short performance and then, tries to get them excited about the arts and about, doing all those things, how are we capturing those so that we can still keep doing that, but maybe that segment even is broader now? How is someone sitting at home who loves to sing, maybe getting involved in an online theater production or some way of performing in a group or something? So we're always looking for the digital challenge and how we can help people get over that challenge.
Yeah, I love that. It's a lot of people are either leaning in or leaning out right now, and there are some unique opportunities. I've definitely found that in the creative arts right now, because the industry is on pause. And I'm sure in the EdTech space, you find that people are, leveraging this time. And, far be it from me to productivity shame anybody, but, there are people that are taking advantage of this, and they're pushing, they're pushing forward in a way that is giving them a unique advantage.
Absolutely.
So that's wonderful. And, and I think that's what you seem to be doing with the new subscription program, is that you have this opportunity for speakers, people who want to break into speaking. So there are no in-person speaking engagements. There's a unique opportunity for everybody here.
It really is. And because we now are in phase 2 of COVID, and now everything's starting to shut back down a little bit, and the masks are continuing and all. The masks are an interesting situation because we're losing the ability to read faces. So, we've always talked about artificial intelligence and you can't read the robot's face. Well, we can't read each other's faces right now because everybody is masked or cloaked. So we're losing that humanistic ability to, sit and chat, to see someone's reaction to a comment we make, all of those kinds of things. And so where we're now getting that nurturing is from a Zoom call or from a FaceTime or, that's where we really see your face. I see you laugh when I say something, it makes me feel good. All of those things are important. And so those people with health conditions, they're going to be home for quite a long time now. I mean, the latest statistic says at least 2021. That's 6 months out at best. It's probably going to be more like 9 months to maybe a year. Yeah. So we want to give them opportunity. We want them still to be involved and be part of the community. But I think they're also having right now a better reaction in that space than when they do go out, because they're not getting anything when they go out. So, it really is a dynamic change in how we do things and how people really can grow themselves and not get too stagnant and not get too introverted by being at home. Yeah. It's very easy to do, even for, people that are extroverts. You see that they're commenting that this has been hard on them. So I think, anything we can do to help them become more involved, to get them in groups, to allow them to shine is just really, it's an advantage we have with technology and we need to utilize it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, unfortunately, it's our new normal, right? This is going to change our lives for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. And you're right. Now the social thing is to Zoom or to have a conversation here. And, if you and I were sitting across the table from each other, we'd have masks on, yep. or we probably wouldn't sit across the table from each other at this point, because of all the health risks.
Exactly.
Right. So this is how we connect now, and and this is how we learn now. So wonderful. I love the work you're doing, and I'm really excited for this launch. I'm excited to see what happens with it and to be a part of the group. And wonderful.
I am too. I'll be more excited when it actually launches because it's a lot of last minute things right now.
Yeah.
When you wake up at 3 a.m, you're like, oh, got to do that. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting. And I hope, people listening are excited about it. I think even just understanding how to speak better when we all do, hopefully one day get back in the room together, because it's going to be a strange transition. There's a meme going on around right now about there's people sitting around a board table, but they all pause or they talk over each other because they still think they're in a Zoom room, but they're actually in the same room. And then all of a sudden the one guy starts to fade out and they're like, oh, Bob dropped off the call. Well, he's sitting right there, but that's how our brain is going to readjust to all of this. So, if we can offer some workshops or some good tidbits on how to get back in the mode and get back in the office and stuff, I think that'll just help everyone.
You reminded me of something that happened. So I had a reading of my TV show, and we pivoted because it was supposed to be a musical. Musicals are not going to happen for a really long time now, and so we said, well, let's move forward with a TV concept. And so we had a reading, and one of the actors, her internet completely cut out, and her moment was coming up to and she wasn't there, and we realized it, and we were like, oh no, what's gonna. And I have to say, she handled it like a champ. She showed up, she came back into the room. I had a letter, and she was like, so I lost internet for a really long time. Let's start at the top of the scene. And I was like, brilliant. Yep. Because, we're so accustomed to the show must go on mentality, but, in this situation, there has to be some give and take for that. And I thought she handled it beautifully. I was like, I thought she was great, and now I love her even more. I think she's even more of a rock star. But you're right, the culture is changing, and we're gonna when we get back into the room together, it's gonna be weird. It's
going to be very weird. I mean, and And for a lot of people, they're going to experience a stage fright that they've never had. Because, much like sending an email, I can send you a snarky email and I don't quite feel as bad because it's written and it goes away and, I'm not really in front of you doing it. That's going to be kind of the same thing, is that we have a little bit of disconnect because we know we're in these little square boxes sitting here. But when I'm suddenly face to face with you and have a challenging conversation, there's going to be a little bit of stage fright with that. There's going to be that, think back to like your first job and you suddenly have to do something. You've not had any experience in doing that. Well, now we're, fast forward, we've had experience, but it's been a long time since we've actually had to do that situation. It's pivoting and understanding how to do it differently. It's relaxing and not getting, so overwhelmed when technology fails, and it's going to fail. It does happen. I remember one of the last things I did last year was we had a speaker coming in and he was in the elevator and the elevator stopped. And it took them like an hour to get him out. And so we were like, where is he? Where is he? And finally we figured out what had happened. And so we were like, okay, who wants to go up and chitty chat to the crowd? Because the firemen are here. We can't get him out. And so we went up on stage as a group. We decided, okay, the four of us are going to go up there and we're just going to say, this is what's happened. So, we're going to take questions from the audience. Like, what would you like to get out of this conference? What do you want to walk away with in 3 days kind of thing? And they loved it. That was like one of the highlights they commented on at the end was, that they didn't feel like it was disruptive. And then when he finally, did get out, he came flying out on stage and he was really cool about it. And he was like, yeah, I was just back there hanging with my firefighter friends. They're really cool, And he's like, I lost track of time. We were chatting, so he just rolled right into it and it was great. So, if you're fearful of not being able to do that, I want to be sure that we have some workshops and some opportunities to help you with that.
I love that. Oh my gosh. That's something, it's funny. We take for granted that things are going to go right, but they often don't. And, and the thing that separates good speakers from great speakers is the ones who can roll with it. Right. And the ones who get invited back, or the ones that get a reputation for being fantastic to work with. Like that guy, I'm sure, anybody could call you and say, how is he to work with? And you have a glowing recommendation. You have a good story. Meanwhile, he very easily could have shown up in a huff, said, I was just stuck in your elevator for an hour, I'm leaving. Or, there could have been, and of course that's nobody's fault. Right. I think that's something that we don't think about, but it's true. We need the emotional, the soft skills, right, to be able to deal with that kind of situation.
Yeah, and it's something we're losing. It's like any good habit, we're losing it right now because we're hanging out in our house and we're working in our PJs or our sweatpants. We don't see anybody except maybe the mailman or the FedEx guy, Amazon. It was funny. I actually saw a neighbor the other day out talking to the Amazon driver, social distancing, but they were out there for quite a while. And I'm sure the Amazon driver was thinking, I need to go. But, it's like, wow, there's a human. I can talk to a human, and so I was laughing because I kept watching and I thought, this is interesting because I'm sure, the driver's starting to panic a little and he's getting off schedule, but my neighbor was out working in the yard and suddenly it was like, oh, there's someone I can talk to, you could just feel it almost.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I think we're all that way, and so it's going to be really strange. At the same time, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think as we continue remote working, I think we're seeing higher productivity levels than we've ever seen. If we can get people the right technology at home, they're good to go. If they've got access, great. I think, as employers, we can help people work remotely and have good meetings and good conversations and do all the right things just in a different format. And so that's one of the other areas that I always, dreamed of covering in this is being a speaker doesn't necessarily mean being in an auditorium with 10,000 people. Sometimes being a speaker is in front of a team of 10 and really helping them through this process. I did a talk recently, and I used Chris Littlefield's new book on, working with remote teams and the activities that he scheduled. And so I did a couple of the activities with the conference people. And one of them was, how are you feeling today on a scale of 1 to 10? Don't think about it, just answer it. And then at the end, you kind of talk about, okay, overall, the group is feeling about a 5. So we're going to spend a little less time talking about work today. We're going to talk a little bit more about, okay, who has pets? What's the weird thing they're doing this week? What are they doing, while you're trying to work? Just really turn that around to give a humanistic feel to it. And it even talks about if you see somebody score really low, you don't call them out on it. But after the call, you may want to reach out to them directly and just say, hey, Marie, you got a 3. Yeah, it just seems like, you're having a tough time today. The other one was talking about, is anybody really excited about what you're working on?
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to admit that because you want your job. But the fact of the matter is, if you're doing spreadsheets all day, it's not the most exciting thing in the world. So, letting people just kind of vet a little bit about, oh, well, you think that's bad. Here's the assignment I got. Just kind of turns that morale around, but also lets them all feel like they're not the only one. So, that's really a core space for me is how do we make people comfortable with technology? That's always been on my radar. And so for me, speakers can be small groups, speakers can be on stage, speakers can be, on a podcast, wherever it is. We just want to help them be successful.
Yeah, I love that, and people discount podcasts, but now that's what there is, right? There's virtual summits, there's videocasts, there's podcasts. So that space now is so opening up, and I think it's a brilliant time to be starting a podcast. So I'm excited for yours and to see what you have coming up. I loved Chris's book, by the way.
Yes.
I read it and I thought it was brilliant, and there are things that you don't think about, like the M&M game so you get a certain M&M and you say you have to answer a prompt based on which one you get, then that's such it sounds like a simple thing. It sounds like a silly thing, but actually you bring a bunch of people together in a Zoom room who don't know each other or they don't know each other well, or they're tired and that kind of thing can really turn a meeting around.
So I talked to someone the other day who has a new team, and her 8th person, which rounded out the team, got hired 4 days before this all happened. Wow. She said, so think about it. Everyone else at the table has been working together for at least 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
She said, and now you've got new person, wasn't an internal hire, so they didn't come from within the company, who suddenly is on Zoom calls with all these people. And, it happens with all of us. When you know somebody, you're all joking about the things that in all the past conversations.
Right.
And so this person was just kind of sitting, on the outskirts and just answering work-related questions. When you ask something, that's the answer you'll get. Mm-hmm. So she said, what really made me think of it was the fact that, it's so hard to be an outsider when you're in the office. But imagine if you're not even around these people, you can't even observe their habits. If I saw you drinking coffee every day, I might walk over and say, hey, you want to grab a cup of coffee? Because that'll give us a chance to get to know each other. So she had a bakery deliver brownies to every one of them. And she had a brownie meeting. And so she said, think back to, when you were a little kid and you would go to a birthday party or something, but the whole reason you really wanted to be there was because there was going to be cake. You didn't really care about the kid that was, you're celebrating. You didn't care about, the games and all. You wanted cake because you didn't get cake very often. And so she said, we are going to have a brownie meeting. She's like, you are not allowed to say anything about work. You are not allowed to talk about anything. So she said for an hour, they talked and munched and just had a great time. she said, and we learned about the new person. She shared things with us, she talked about things, she asked questions.
Yeah.
And she said, and the next week, she said, oh my gosh, such a difference in the team meeting when we were actually talking about work. And I actually, I ordered her a copy of Chris's book.
Awesome.
Because I said, if you're going to get in the mode of doing this, I said, you have to have this book. I said, because he's got some great things in there. And she's just started it, but she said already she's earmarking things that she wants to do.
That's
and so
awesome.
she's kind of plotting her calendar out, of, okay, we need to do something because we don't know when we're going to be back all together again.
Yeah.
So if we're together, we can still do this activity, but I want to at least have it figured out for when I'm, doing these Zoom calls. So I think it's just, it's being proactive to all of this situation rather than being reactive to it.
Yeah. I love that because, on the other side of productivity, we're working longer because we don't have to commute, right? We're working through lunch because things come up. We're all really scared we're going to lose our jobs and lose our clients, so we're working twice as hard. So the team building thing is such a nice little added. You'd be doing it anyway if you were in person. So why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, it gives you some sort of normalcy and some sort of community during your day when you may not talk to anybody else. If you're one of those internal positions that really doesn't have to have a need to be on the phone, you're not customer service, you're not answering the phone, you're not answering questions. It can be a long 8 hours being home alone, and not having anybody to chat with. Maybe you're single, so you don't have people living with you. This provides a little opportunity at least to have just a little bit of community and a little bit of fun. And I love that. I think that's just a great thing.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I love that. I think it's I love the book and I love that you're thinking about this. And I love that story of the Browning meeting. I'm going to have to implement that with my team. Send everybody some brownies and just have a social hour because, why not?
Well, and we all love getting something. I mean, we just love getting something that it's unexpected. We didn't know it was coming, that is just like the greatest feeling in the world. And right now we need a lot of those positive kind of reinforcements that just add a little brightness.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's wonderful. Awesome. So, any last words for those of us who out there in the entrepreneurial space, either we're starting an entrepreneurial venture or we're starting a new entrepreneurial venture during COVID? Do you have any parting words of wisdom for us?
I think, first off, tell yourself you can do it because we're all a little scared because we don't know what's coming. And the reality is we never know what's coming. It just is more prevalent right now. But even on a good year, we all open our storefront and we hope for the best. So, take the initiative, take the plunge, plan. Plan A, plan B, plan C, so that you can pivot easily and you don't have to think about it. If you can have 3 series of plans that are just a little variable of what you really want to offer and do, you can pivot quickly and you don't have that panic moment. You just say, okay, A is not going to work right now, so I'm going to move over to B. And here's what we're going to do. And you will find a comfort level in being able to sleep at night and at being able to be even more creative because you're not worrying about what if this doesn't work. Those are the 2 things that I really think people need to do. But it's a really inventive time right now. Innovation is going to be key for us over the next 3 to 5 years. And those who take advantage of it, I think, are really going to find a lot of opportunities and things that we're not even thinking of yet are on the horizon. Agreed.
I love that. Well, Sher, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always wonderful to talk to you, and it's great to do this on a podcast. Yay.
Yeah, this is just fantastic. I so appreciate you having me on here. And I always love anything with the word coffee in it.
Awesome. You're one of my own tribe then. It's funny. I've talked to some people and, many of us do drink coffee, but many of us don't. And I'm always like flabbergasted at the people who can make it through their day without a cup of coffee. I'm like, oh, I don't understand.
Me too. I'm just like, really? Wow. Okay. Or I think, oh, that explains a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
because there's people that are always like dragging in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh no, I'm great. Like, what else can we get done today?
So I mean that's one of the moments of joy for me is having my cup of coffee. So
Me too.
you're my coffee soul sister, I think.
I love it. Love it. Anytime.
Awesome. Well, this has been brought to you by Restream. Restream is a multi-streaming platform, and we're on it right now. And so I'll be putting an affiliate link in the comments. And awesome. Cher, thank you again.
Thank you.